Thank you for visiting. It's Glenn Lyvers with Prolific Press. This is the April 2024 poetry reading. We generally just jump right into it. We're going to start things off with Marcus Benjamin Ray Bradley.
Thank you, Lynn. I will share my screen for one poem. Introductions. Yes. Marcus Benjamin Ray Bradley. I live in Lexington, Kentucky, and am proud to work for the University of Kentucky. The two poems today are kind of a tease on a book that is about to be published about music and people. I'm going to share a visual here for a poem I had published in, it was one of the very first ones I had published, called LP. As technology sped away, I went backwards, towards its size, large as a drumhead, towards its shape, the sound of the acoustic guitar it recreates, towards its color, the hair of a mistress stealing my time from other loves. Ease the needle onto the clean lines to begin its roller coaster glide. The distance between each one, its own measurement of time. My eyes chase song titles like a dog chases its tail, making me as dizzy as they must be themselves on their merry-go-round. Invert and repeat, and then slide it back into the cover, worthy of a frame. Its groove as a dusty attic that collects tracks of fingers. Attics that smell like the secondhand shops where you can buy vinyl for quarters now. But today's zeros and ones can't capture fingerprints, be described in shapes, spun, flipped, framed, or made gold. People are trading their music for nothing at all. Thank you, guys. The second one is about a character. I had it printed in a vignette in Australia, oddly enough. A collection of vignettes for a book, and the book I'm speaking of that will be published hopefully in the next couple of months is about characters and giving characters life. And I know this group particularly is empathetic as artists towards other people, but I thought it was important to express that everyone is a person with their own thoughts and feelings. So this one is simply titled Garbage Man. Garbage is defined as a thing that is no longer wanted or needed. So being referred to as just a garbage man makes my shoulders sag. Without me, they'd just be litterers, dumping outside their houses. The homes along my route are probably filled with belongings unblemished and swanky, devoid of character, and identical to their boring neighbors. I'm bewildered by pieces they discard, fully functioning or intriguing enough that I can't bear taking some of them directly to their final resting place. Instead, I give them a home, extending their useful lives as additions to my mismatched houseware, golf clubs, decor, or curio cabinet clutter of conversation pieces, oddities, and things wherein I found beauty that had gone unnoticed or unappreciated for too long. I look at the landfill and wonder what treasures are buried there. as I breathe the moldering bouquet that I associate with hard work. And I marvel at the magnitude of what I've had a hand in building, understanding that you just need to be persistent and keep adding a little bit to it every day if you want to do something big. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. Thank you for that. That was very nice. I appreciate it. We're going to give Michael a chance to sit down. He just came in, Michael Watterson. Good to have you here again, Michael. And I see Mary Gunn slipped in. Thank you for coming, Mary Gunn. Happy to have you today. And we're going to move on now to Debbie.
Hello, Debbie
Hey,
Walker-Last from Atlanta, Decatur, Georgia. Go Braves, go Braves. And I want to read two. They're both a little bit long, but The Ice Cracked 1912 is the first one. And it was originally published in the Ephrastic Journal in response to that iconic picture of Niagara Falls that has been reproduced, I don't know how many millions of times. But what I found interesting is that it was in the journal last September, and just in the last week, the director of the Niagara Falls Poetry Project, which I didn't even know existed, contacted the editor of the Ephrastic Journal and asked for all the poems that were in that section on Niagara Falls, including mine. And she just left it up to us. She said, I vetted him, and he seems like a legit person, but it's up to you if you want your poem in there or not. And so I told him, of course, and he kind of highlighted it on his page, and it looked really pretty. And anyway, I was kind of impressed that something like that popped up. Like, you never know what might happen. So I liked it. But if you can picture a long, long time ago and something that happened, I took a little poetic license with it. The Ice Cracked 1912. Let's go back to a time forgotten, time when all stood still at this reckoning, when the stars spewed light like a string of shiny pearls, gleaming, coyly placed, half hidden in a breast, to enkindle the earth with heavenly illumination and begin Niagara's immaculate creation. Falling, tumbling river dodging over rock formations, over and over an international maritime border. Canada's pride, America's daughter. Danger lies in beauty wild and unforgiving. Many years Niagara made a sparkling temptation when honeymooners and brazen lads took the chance to walk upon the icy bridge made of water. It seemed a game, not risking life in great parlance. The tall, strapping boys built a warm beverage station. Canadian citizens welcomed Americans as close relations. The menacing sun appeared as a propitious omen, settling over that imagined glassy isthmus until a fatal crack shuddered out a warning. Jagged flaws in the ice were quickly forming. Honeymooners from New York were taking in the sights. The young Quebecians downing cups of hot chocolate all looked to one another, faces full of fright. Far too late to make preparations. Crossing an international border without immigration was a delightful idea with just the right amount of mystery, until the couple, sharing one last kiss before rushing waters pulled them apart, taking their breath, were noted in the annals of Niagara's history by boys turned into men by cheating death. So I wouldn't have really thought of it being printed anywhere else, but I was glad that it was. And the second one is also Ephrastic, but it was okay, Bob. Enough of that. Cubs fan, Cubs fan. Okay, I'm going to try to screen share. Is that working or not? No? Yes?
Yeah, it should be working. I turned it on.
Oh, okay. Can you all see it or no?
Not yet. I can't see it.
Okay. Let me try again. If I can't get it, it's no big deal. Okay, I'm skipping it and moving on. But anyway, the painting had absolutely nothing to do with what I wrote, but I found the history of Juan Luna, the painter, to be extremely interesting. And although the painting was one of a gay affair, it looked like possibly right after, right before a wedding celebrating the bride and groom, which he really loved his bride. And he fought a long time to get her hand because he was kind of uh, a bohemian, like his family was more bohemian. So he ended up by being a wonderful painter. He won a gold medal, but he also meddled in a lot of other things. And he was very extremely jealous of his wife. And so I wrote this letter. It's in a letter form. Letter to my brother Antonio before my certain passing. Dear Kapanid Nalakia, and excuse me, I'm doing the best I can. I returned from Japan to our once beautiful island the minute I heard the devastating news. My little brother, youngest of our clan, was cut down, assassinated in the very light of day by the Botanegro, murderous thugs sent by Gelino, who denies it all. Antonio, my heart can't take the thought of you, fighting until the very end, dying in public, 30 wounds on your body, the bravest of the brave, my little brother. You died without me. I can never, ever recover. I know what it feels like to murder, although my war was very different than yours. Yet the outcome is the same. People that died by our hands who would still walk this earth but for being cut down by us. Do you think of those that died? I suppose not, as your war was a just one. The war from independence from the Americans, drunks and thieves that they were and still are and always will be. My war, far less justified. The battle chosen by me, the dead my own, dear Paz, wife and love of my life, and my hapless Juliana, mother-in-law to a murderous son-in-law. Felix, her only son, was wounded but lives, thank God. As you know, Antonio, they were not my enemies. As you also know, my only enemy was Thalos, rabbit jealousy. Whether or not Paz was unfaithful, she did not deserve to die. I miss her sweet breath, her calming presence. But, brother, I miss you more. I once read that you were an even greater painter than I, more talented in the natural sense. It may be true, and truer still is that you were always the better man. In the sciences or in the battlefield, you were sure headed about your course of action. A scholar, chemist, and a general, you squeezed so many lives into your short years. My soul is so full of pride to be your brother is perhaps my greatest blessing after being a father. Brother, I shot them through a door. Without aim, trying only to scare Paz. I killed two and maimed another. Can you ever forgive my cowardice? You stood by my side, but you had to think I belonged in that cell. While you took straight aim at your enemy for our people, I killed two of my very own because of pure rage. I couldn't bear the mere thought of another man touching my wife. Thank you for minding Andreas during my confinement. It was more than I deserved. I believe that winning the gold medal in Madrid got me out of that cell. A medal and my brother among brothers vouching for me. Being a man that was wronged by his wife helped as well, of course, but it doesn't help me now, brother, while my soul quakes from all of the blundering I've done. Allow me this. I learned my craft. I leave behind enough money for Andreas. Perhaps he will follow in your shoes and not mine. Hopefully, he will have the heart of a lion, the body of a beast, and like you, the mind of a scholar. Bless his motherless heart. Pa's only justice would be in him living a good life despite his ruined father. Some say you were a hard man, brother, but I know the truth. You loved your men as hard as you led them. In a way, I killed you too. My biggest life regret was involving you in La Revolucion. My wicked heart is about to burst, brother. I pray to see you again in the clouds. Your Kuya, Juan Luna. And then a subnote is Juan Luna died of a heart attack in the Philippines in 1899, soon after the death of his brother Antonio, who was the lead general of the Philippine Army. Antonio had been assassinated earlier that year. Andreas Lunas, the son, became a famous architect that built the first air-conditioned building in the Philippines.
Wow, that is great. Thank you for sharing that. I love those contextual things. We have somebody just joining us. Elizabeth is settling in, so we'll give her a second to do that. I'm going to go ahead and share a quick piece, and then we're going to go on to Lynette Esposito afterwards. It's so rare that anybody ever asks to see anything. I don't know what your experiences are, so I'm going to read this one because somebody asked me about it recently. This poem won Indiana University's contest in 2011, a long time ago. It's called 1850 Rising, and I feel like it's a really good representative piece at this point in the reading today because you have that letter, right? And this is when I wrote this piece, I sort of was into this groove where I was reading old diaries from and I just really so poetical, people who actually sat down and penned their thoughts all those years ago in hand. And so I sort of tried to put myself in this persona poem in a place where I was imagining that I was writing a diary of short scribbles, but try to make it poetical. And then it turned into something that people seem to like. So I will read that, and I hope that you enjoy it. It's called 1850 Rising, and it's set in chapters. She took the bull, the breeder, our entire future, down the dark trail. There was no discussion about mother, about the guilty footprints to the butcher. Father lay dying over grandma's white linens until he wasn't anymore. Suddenly, stew. She wore her dress, Sunday's church, wading in the river, watching the men on the bank, silently fishing. She gathered eggs in the morning, warm for cooking, scrambled, over medium, hard, poached, standing at the stove, radiating heat, humming hymns to herself. Chapter 4, a winter of lead, heavy Protestant rafters, silent, cold, reverent, tombstone cold. Mother burned the barn in the stove. Chapter 5, the fat summer grace died. Blackberries and grapes, beer and moonshine, chickens and rabbits. Cooking all day dirty plates, all day turning spits, all the angry ovens. Chapter 6, fireflies brought recurring dreams of father, father stirring dazzled embers, father surrounded by Edison bulbs, father snuffing altar candles, father swatting burning bees, father swinging lanterns in the yard, fireflies. Chapter 7, I saw Uncle Robert from Colorado rise with a team of horses rise like the cedars do over the hill until he too floated between the hill and the clouds. Robert from the mountains stepped down to straighten an injured fence post, and then he drove the jingling team across the river to the porch. He settled in. Chapter 8. Sister Edith converted again. Sunday church with mother, wading in the river, dresses like clinging church bells. Sister Edith rang at last, no longer silent. $5 for wedding invitations. Cordially, Robert and Edith. Chapter 9. Mother lived 9 more summers by the river. Near the end, she was watched over by young boys, reverent boys, sons of Edith, who taught her again to pick a flat rock, to hold it sideways, to throw it in that familiar way over water and water. Chapter 10. Mother died in the shadow of the new barn, where she could hear young boys laughing. Up the ladder, falling, up the ladder, falling, into the yellow hay below. Chapter 11. It rained the day we tried to bury Mother, the great pouring of 1850. It was the kneeling river, drumming, sobbing, swelling up all at once, rising up like choir voices, singing loudly hallelujah, taking Mother away in a tiny wooden boat. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, Lynette Esposito, please.
Hello, this is Lynette Esposito from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. It's hard act to follow all these wonderful poems. It's Sunday breakfast for me. This is AM. I have my cup of tea, a bottle of amnesia, buttered gluten-free muffins, and one calico cat for company. I am free from yesterday. And that's it.
Excellent.
And my second one,
Okay.
can you hear it okay?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Fast food and the midnight window at McDonald's. Her voice is tired and seductive, almost as if I am listening to the word tones of a woman in a soft homemade porn video. Hello, your order? Imagine asking for love from an electrified menu at the stroke of 12, on the cusp between 2 days. May I help you? Medium shake and a large fry, please. Large? I hesitate because of the calories. How should I answer this sweet maid? The night is dark and lonely. I say yes, large. The maid gives me the price and directs me to the open window where my new love is waiting. I hope for a blonde, sweet, young, a lyrical smile and beckoning eyes. I see the back of her head. The disappointment registers. Excuse me. She has short cropped hair, light in color, a slim figure, but the shirt is baggy. She bustles and runs and hurries to get my order. A lone waitress working the late shift. I hold my breath as she turns. I can smell the fries. That's it.
That was fun. Thank you for that. Oops. Pushing buttons by accident. I apologize. David Kelly, please. Is David still
Hello.
here?
I
There you
am still here. I think this is the first one of these meetings that I've been to. I've had lots of invitations, and I'm very pleased to be included in those invitations. The writing I do is mainly with the Japanese short forms that Glenn was mentioning earlier, which would be haiku and tanka and such. I'm going to read for you a haiban, which is a hybrid form which has prose and haiku. I think it's sufficiently long that I only need to read it the once. It's been published in a journal called the Haiban Journal, which is edited by Sean O'Connor, who I believe you know from other meetings. And this piece is called Transubstantiation. Plucked into life, feather light, resonating just beyond a familiar plane, adrift on gentle tides of crescendo and diminuendo. Then, alternately jangled, confused, changed, and consoled by billowing sheets of Prussian blue. A slight change in pitch. The heavy air carves dewdrops as nightingales seed to stormcocks. Carmine threads its way through lilac. En route to a fresh painted canvas, I congeal into presence. The hazy outline gradually assimilates essence. Stuck fast in the imminence of now, no need to fight for freedom. Impasto peaks and troughs donate dimensions, lead me into landscape and luminosity. Here I am, born again, brimming with the ineluctable rightness of being. 5 more minutes, beyond the rhymed window, a shepherd's warning. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. And did you have a second piece today? No, okay, that's fine. Thank you for that. Very well read and greatly appreciated. The and every poet, it seems, from Ireland has just been so strong in this group. It humbles me. It was quite nice, David. I really appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on to Bob Moreland, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Bob Borland. I'm from Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, and I'm going to read for you 2 poems from a book that's still living in my computer because it hasn't been submitted. We have finally embraced a very late spring here, and for those of you, as we had conversation earlier, that is the Ukrainian flag behind me. The first poem I'll read to you is blank verse, a little long. This is Lessons from Red-Winged Blackbirds. Rise early. Greet the new dawn's pinking light high atop the highest ash tree, with views across the still dark waters of the Great Lake. Then sing with all your heart to coax the sun as he peeks from the distant horizon, a sliver of light, then a fingernail, growing to a brilliant ball. You sing, all of the air in your lungs beckoning the new day. You have survived the night, head tucked beneath your wing. No simple matter when you're food for so many on the short grass prairie. Retreat with others to the sanctuary provided by the birder near the beach. Feeders chock full every morning, sunflower seeds your favorite. All of the races, grackles and redwings, finches and starlings, commune together in blessed harmony. chickadees. In their nervous twitch, snatch one seed and flit away. Regal cardinal lands on his throne to feast his mate below. Mourning doves in pairs coo and peck, one watching out for the other as they eat. Squirrels and chipmunks pick their way amongst their feathered kin and share the space, wary of the prowling orange tabby who lives next door. As the temperatures soar, taste the cool, fresh water. Relish each sip like the grackles whose blue-black necks bend and arch in ballet-like precision, crowned with the utmost grace. Closed yellow eyes reopen at the height of this dance as they begin again. Don't be selfish, like that one robin who lands in the middle of the pool to bathe while others try to drink. Share and believe that even though uncertain, there is bounty for all. This year's progeny pledged last week to continue your legacy. Your mates, for red wings and polygamy, hedge their genetic bets, feast on suet, ripping chunks to feed their hunger as well as their young, waiting on the prairie. Life is good. The afternoon warm, and you intone songs as ancient as time. As the day wanes, you join those perched in the top of the greatest elm, catch the last rays of the setting sun, and sing. Thank you. So
That was great.
thank you. For those of you who didn't figure it out, I live in eyesight of Lake Michigan on a very large prairie. It's about 500 acres. It's the Shiwaukee. You can look that one up on your internet. May 2nd would have been the birthday of an uncle for whom I'm named. And he, in 1942, turned 18 after achieving the Eagle rank in scouting and did what most 18-year-olds did. He wanted to be a Marine, but they had their complement, so he became a Navy corpsman and volunteered. This poem is called In the Breach. The dedication reads, in memory of pharmacist mate first class, Doc Robert Danlaw II, 1st Battalion, 1st Marine Raiders, and 6 Marines, Special Detachment. Sometimes when life gets hard, I think of you. 21, Navy corpsman, among all those Marines trying to skew the fear lurking below the surface, unsung. It took the sergeant's leg when the shell hit, laying out 6 more, most of them in shock. Bullets over your head, you grabbed your kit, battlefield amputation, bandaged, took stock. Each in turn treated, without thought you stayed. Guam's August heat did your job in view. Valor is not the absence of fear. Afraid, you go because someone is counting on you. My uncle, whose name I share, you impart honor as I remember you in my heart. Thank you. And that was a sonnet, believe it or not. Okay.
Thank you, Bob. Excellent. Phew. That's talk about a tough act to follow now, Edward Ahern. I hate to do this to you, but you're up next.
Yeah, that's fine. Mine are brief enough that they can be easily forgotten. Their only distinction thus far is that they're recent, so not yet published. This one is called About Face. When I admire my discriminating judgment, which is much more often than I admit to, I reluctantly much less often have to admit that I am irrevocably conditioned to admire preconceived beauty in those who surround me. Beautiful or ugly, faces are beyond my ability to replace or alter prejudgments about. Worse, I can't even really explain why one face is attractive and another is not. My own face excepted, of course. And the second one, slightly more serious, is called Aromas of Smoke. Charred incense hanging in church air like an angel's dirty robe. The downdraft of a ship's funnel shrouding in unbreathable carbon. The wisps of exploding ordnance anointing wounds like myrrh. A faulty fireplace draw nostriling in the immolation of old woods. Humidity clogged smog leaching into pristine designer clothes. The smoldering vapors of hallucinatory plants and herbs. The acrid, lingering aromas of a burning world.
Very strong. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to, first of all, thank you for visiting with us here, Elizabeth. Sorry I didn't say hi to you when you came in. And Eleanor, glad to have you here. We're going to continue on with Peter Yaremko, please. Is Peter still here? Oh, looks like he popped out. We'll just put a pin in that and we'll go to Michael Flanagan, please.
I have a haiku, and then I also, oddly enough, have a haibun, David. So the haiku is from a VA visit. Veterans Clinic, two service dogs swapping war stories. A Veterans Clinic, two service dogs swapping war stories. That was accepted by Blythe Spirit for the next volume. The haibun is I've been just working on. It's from a 60 Minutes segment from I got it down from March of 23, but it could have been this year. A scientist believes Homo sapiens became dominant over other species of humans because we cooperated together and were friendlier, so we got along better. What a bunch of bloodthirsty bastards those others must have been if Homo sapiens were the best of the bunch. Long ago, tribes gathered, the kindest killing the best. That was it.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to rush you. I thought maybe you were looking for another piece. Thank you for that. Very nice. I really appreciate these shorter forms. You guys all know that I really like that, and that was well done. James Bethel, please.
Hunting for the unmute button. Finally found it. Hey, Mike, I love the wonderful contradictions. There's so many truths can emerge out of contradictions. It's amazing. I have two. One of the things that occurred to me listening today and reading. So much of these have had to do with time on the one hand, and on the other, kind of a continuation of Earth Day, almost like a Earth Month, which is kind of where I'm coming from in my two poems. This first one was prompted by Rainer Maria Rilke's Book of Hours. It's entitled Unconditional Longing, Uncontained. For our sake, poets, painters, creatives sequester themselves. Only that the world, so transcends as made in each moment by moment instant, might be given to us once again. Lovers are the poets in the briefest of hours who gather our inheritance. Awakening desire, they make a place where growth happens, with all its joy, pain, suffering, and laughter. All the longings that had slept, now awaking to weep in a stranger's arms, streaming into us when things and thoughts cannot contain it. This one, my notes say I may have shared this, but then my notes are not all that reliable from time to time. Let me adjust that. There we go. At any rate, this one was prompted by observation by Alison Rollins, who said, time is a body that resembles a sound without a scale. The title is We Sang Dirges in the Dark. 4 billion years ago, looking out at the world from the trees where we hid as weasel beasts, we watched as the last dinosaur took its last breath, leaving us to forget and to remember, only to forget again, the forest from which we came. It took millions of years after that last gasp for the forests to replace their near and extinct kin. If our remembering now fails, we will cease as did those Triassic hosts. The forest will again reclaim itself, but without us. Somewhere in a million more years, on a moonlit night, a mushroom, I imagine, in its mycelial voice, asks of the tree it feeds, weren't there humans here once? And the tree responds, oh, that was a long time ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Okay, we're going to move on to Francis Flavin, please.
Good afternoon to most of you, and good morning to those of us out west. I'm Francis Flavin. I'm from Reno Sparks area. It's on the eastern Sierra front. Out here in the Intermountain West, spring comes in fits and starts. And we're on the eastern side of the mountain, so we don't get much rain. It's called the rain shadow because the storms come from the west and dump all their moisture in the mountains, and we get very little of it. But we get lots of gloomy days. And with your indulgence, I have 3 rather short poems. I have the attention span of a gerbil, so all my poems are relatively short. And the first 2 concern weather. And the first one is called Stormbower. The heavy mist that nestles so snugly in the Chugach and Smokies gnaws at the ridges of the Sierra. There is no soft coupling of mountain and mist. It's a $20 room and a groan in the night. The mist of memory and time chafes at the soul. Rain is an intruder here. The second one is called Gray Today. It is gray today, dampening the spirits more than the ground. Still, it sets one to contemplate the filaments of clouds and the empty promise of the rain shadow. And finally, the last one is rhyming. I grew up with rhyming and I haven't escaped it yet, despite rap with its rhyme without reason. I go back to it. And this one is more for fun than anything serious. It's that time of year here for spring cleaning. It's called Outback. Is there hantavirus in the shed? I have to look despite my dread. A mouse or two I think I saw when last I found the door ajar. And what about the threat of mold? Good grief. I fear I'm getting old and also very, very wary of things unknown and awfully scary. I'm sure I must be turning pale with thoughts of stepping on a nail. The sunlight cannot reach inside, no telling what the darkness hides. Cleaning sheds is dirty work, the type of which I think I'll shirk. There's nothing in there I should need. I think I'll go inside and read. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. I like those quick poems. Just kind of picks up the energy, doesn't it? Isn't that kind of nice? Gloria Caviglia, please.
Hey everyone, I'm here from upstate New York in the beautiful Hudson Valley. It's spring, the ticks are out. This kind of came from a recurring dream that I've had since I was like 6 or 7 years old. I don't know if any of you have dreams like that, but anyway, this is called Pink Moon. She throws the downy covers and swings her legs to the floor. Walking to the top of the hallway stairs, she steps on her toes and is lifted, drifting, floating, turned into a dining room where the gossamer curtains ever so slightly move as she passes them, into the kitchen where a tiny white light glows against the window panes, reminding her that all is still, all is still. Once again, she steps on her toes, stretching to see the moon, an opaque pink orb, mesmerizing as it disappears, its color in her eyes. Thank you. I have another one that's kind of short. Ripping one's very soul into pieces, squeezing the last breath of consciousness from reality. But you know, you who have been there, you who can tell the truth. There are many reasons to stay, but give me one reason to go, and go I shall. To that from which I am told was my creation, my beginning, that first breath upon which all other breaths thereafter are lessened. And breathe my last, my sigh unto the atmosphere while I will return, resplendent, perfect, joyous. Take me now into that which I long for, stillness, peace.
Very nice. Thank you. Just one quick order of business, and then we'll go to Doug Van Hooser. I just got an email from somebody, I won't say who. It's okay to read a poem that you've already read before. I mean, we're all friends here. I know I've done it, and sometimes I do it on purpose because I get more out of hearing somebody read their poem more than once. And so you're all invited to do that. I just appreciate all of your work so much. And if I can hear something twice, I'm twice as blessed for hearing it. So, Doug.
Hi, everybody. My name is Doug Van Hooser. I'm in southern Wisconsin on Whitewater Lake, where it's awfully windy today, but very warm. The first poem I'm going to read is entitled People. People are a test. They lean towards the sun, bend in the wind, and flail in the current. Expect more from the sunrise, but sit and gaze at the sunset. They flock, they hibernate, and spit lightning and thunder of righteousness into a mound of contempt. Find fault and relish the taste. Park their souls in suffocating words. People trip and stumble, break an arm to break a fall, loosen their grip and hold hands, pretend up and down, backwards and forwards leads to the same place. Lose sight of the beginning, baffled by the middle, intoxicated with the end. Closure, a door with a frosted window. They demand more than a stare, give like a rotted log. Appetites never sated, people flourish on the scent of possibility. The bait everyone nibbles, and a lucky few swallow whole. And the second poem is entitled, Your Eyes Roar. Let me try to explain you to you, how you always say the right thing the wrong way, follow direction without a compass, get lost in the right place. I find your incomprehension kaleidoscopic, confusion strewn like flower petals. Everyone litters your porch. Your tears burning sensation kindles the debris. You tidy up messes no one seems to have made. The check mark checked off the checklist next to the desire to desire, one of the goblins you failed to run your sword through. Regret is the nominal brother of expectation. You know what I mean, but never say, sorry once again for the perfunctory kiss. My eyes drift off the page, afraid none of this makes any sense. The second hand sweeps everything under the rug. Time, the key to togetherness, realizing the start is not where each chapter begins. Are those stars in your purse? Thank you.
Very nice. Okay. It's funny because so often when I read slush, I'm always leaving comments to people how hard that is to do, to put a question like that in a poem and have it really work. The people sort of use that mechanic as a crutch or something, and it rarely works that well. Very, very nice. I really appreciated that one. Linda, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Imbler. I'm in Wichita, Kansas. And we're under our 20 bazillionth tornado watch for today. So anyway, just speaking of weather, everything's been so nice. The poems are just lovely today. I'm going to read two. They're not particularly short, but they're not particularly long. So Glenn, I hope you're happy. The first one's called Dreams as Haints. In sleep, facing darkness, so begins an invasion, a phantom expression. The ebbing cognizance behind fading sunlight shifts into growing comprehension within starlight, transitions into haunted reasoning or foolishness, and shapes the impotency of your silence. What or who will materialize as you feel the gripping arm of dreamful sleep? Haints as oddly shaped angels, from which you have no desire to escape, sent down the wires to dance across imagination's spectrum as you lie flat, poised to consider truths that polish understanding. Haints as oddly shaped demons, marshaling forces, playing strange tricks as you lie flat, poised to tolerate their objectionable loitering, to give ear to a potential stream of lies that jeopardize meaning. Recurring dreams are the right places to continue our search for answers within either Haint's paradigm. Thank you. The next one, oh, by the way, these poems are out of my my newest book. It's called 12 Months. And yeah, it's available on Amazon in paper. This is the paperback issue, obviously. I also have it as a Kindle.
Well, I hope that you go to the Facebook page for Prolific Press, and when I post this video later today, put a link, and maybe a couple of us will be lucky enough to get that.
Thank you. Thank you. This next one's, this is my tirade to AI, about AI. It's called Libraries of the Future. Once the books were overhead high and the scent of the glue helped the print catch your eyes. Pupils are no longer seeing. Darkness forms from failing ink. The reflection of words is stopped. The need to track symbols gone. The transmission of ideas replaced from the printed page through wires curving and inserted into the receptacles of the brain. What they want us to know, we know. What they want us to feel, we feel. What they wanted us to forget, we have forgotten. Thank you.
Wow. You just
Yeah.
got right to it, didn't you?
You know,
That's,
what diddle around. Yeah.
yeah, you got right to the heart of it.
Thank you.
Okay, Emily, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Emily Strauss. I'm also on the West Coast. I'm halfway between a famous national park, Crater Lake National Park, and a big volcano, which is Mount Shasta, about 8 hours or 7 or so north of where the man was in Reno and Sparks area. So I'm going to read 2 poems. I'll start with this one called Consider the Mother. Consider the mother. One Thursday, life, sleep, death converged, and she was gone. But she left years before, sleeping all day in the lounger, standing in the kitchen confused while the caregiver prepared dinner, watching the laundry basket exit and enter, the newspapers pile up by the couch, the trash collected on the balcony until a certain day only she knew, when it was finally time to remove cartloads to the dumpster. Consider her cold, windy funeral attended by the congregation, prayers sung in a circle, hats pushed firmly down, scarves tucked into collars, 2 old friends, a daughter. Eventually, someone donated a lovely granite headstone on which visitation rocks are placed in the Jewish tradition, piling up over the years. No sister ever came up that quiet hill with madrone trees and deer. Think about that fragment of broken teacup someone set by her Hebrew name, and a painted pottery shard a distant relative pilfered from a Navajo site, carried home, kept for years until she finally found the grave and laid it too on the smooth granite. Ancient traditions meeting mid-continent, nod in passing. Her ashes melted into the snow. Her ashes melted into the soil, tooled wooden box cracked open by now. Consider the mother. And one more, shorter, called Borrowed Space. I don't live anywhere. Winter is dark, and even spring offers little refuge. I only need a tiny space, a temporary way station, a landing spot before the wind rises once more and I am sent tumbling across still frozen sage plains, no flowers yet. The cold hangs on like I do. I grab any thin stem, like old lichen blowing, caught in a bush. I am caught. I am blown away over the land. There is no respite until I lodge on the spines of a juniper. Not a comfortable nest, but longer days will reveal a semblance of calm, an interlude. Here I can rest a while in warming breezes, settle myself in this new place. Not a bird or a tumbleweed exactly, just searching for quiet. Thank you.
Thank you. Just really lovely. I sincerely hope that you guys couldn't hear me typing for a moment there. Shasta.
I'm Shasta Hatter. I live in Gresham, Oregon. It's a suburb of Portland, Oregon, and I'm going to read two haikus. One is fairly long. It's available. My Portland haiku group is putting out an anthology called Crossing Bridges. It'll be available on Lulu early next month. Anyway, this is a reprint from Phil's haiku. It's called Three on a Match. My pain isn't any worse today than usual. It's about a 4 on the 10-point pain scale. It might become a 5 if I get up and move around. Plenty of days I've cleaned the house, washed the laundry, or volunteered in the food pantry in more pain than this. But today, I sit and think about my favorite cousin. Her husband of 59 years died earlier this month, 2 days after she requested that heroic measures be stopped. The celebration of life will be in 2 weeks. Casseroles on a potluck table, one less plate. I sit and think about my youngest sister. Earlier this week, her stepfather, who has loved her for 40 years, lost his battle with a litany of diseases. My sister has cared for him for the last 8 years, quitting her job last year to give him full-time care. At the request of the decedent, there will be no service. His favorite TV channel no longer fills the air. Flowers at the door. Another cousin is also on my mind. His older brother died 2 days ago of complications of Agent Orange. In a chat, my cousin tells me of his anger over his brother's decades-long struggle to get care and benefits. My siblings and I go in on a blue and white sympathy bouquet with same-day delivery. Agent Orange, ending the war, one vet at a time. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nicely done.
And then on a completely different, much more cheerful note, I have this catty little poem that you're welcome to laugh at. In fact, I hope you do. It's called Cookies to Share. Oh, it's a haiku. My older brother is a poet too. He is very prolific. He has had over 150 poems published, largely in biker magazine. He writes long rhyming poems, and Senro he insists are haiku because they are all 575. He tells me that most of his poems are finished in one draft. I am not prolific, and I can't rhyme. I don't even own a Harley. It takes me 6 drafts to write a haiku. Maybe 1 in 15 is suitable for publication. Maybe. My brother is often wowed by the poems I do publish. He tells our younger sister that I would probably publish more if I revised less. Brother's flashlight protects me from monsters. Thank you.
Oh, well, that was great. That line, ending the war one vet at a time. I think that hit everybody.
Thank
Very, very nice. Tim.
Oh, good to be back. My name is Tim Mueller. I spent the last 22 years in Columbia, South Carolina. Before that, a couple decades in Dallas. Before that, a couple decades in East Tennessee. I started writing haiku nonstop in 2015. And this first one, I write most of mine between about 4:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. And I seems like some days you can see stars and some days you can't. So much light in the world now, it's almost like broad daylight just down the street. So that's kind of what inspired this first haiku, and I'll read it through twice. Hours before sunrise, electricity's poison bleaches coral sky. Hours before sunrise, electricity's poison bleaches coral sky. And then the next one, I am listening. Blustery winds find forests, translates their unease. I am listening. Blustery winds find forests, translate their unease. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, it's such a pleasure to get so much meaning out of so few words, and it's hard to do. So well done there, Tim. I think you did a great job. We're going to move on to Michael Watterson and then Mary Gunn. So Mary Gunn's on the phone. I can't leave you any messages, but you'll be up after Michael Watterson. Michael.
Thank you, Glenn. Michael Watterson. I'm in Napa, California. I'm going to try and do a screen share here because if I can, because it's this is a concrete poem. It's I'm interested in the art world, and one of the things that one of the benefits of the internet age is that a lot of publications now are accepting more word art, more combinations of text and image, and I'm not having much success here doing this. So I may just have to skip it. Until I learn a little bit more of the, okay. Yeah, this looks like it's not gonna work. Okay, I'm gonna read it anyway. It's I'm interested in the art world, and there's an artist, an Italian artist called Maurizio Catalan, and at the Art Basel exhibition a few years back, his artwork consisted of, and you may have heard of this, his artwork consisted of a banana duct taped to the wall. He titled it Comedian, and it sold for about $240,000. So I thought I got quite a kick out of that. It appeared in and so I wrote this poem shaped as a banana, and it wound up getting published on a little online journal called Winged Penny Review. It's called Get It? Get it, like a Liechtenstein thought balloon. The question hangs over comedian, a ready-made sculptor that's a banana duct taped to a wall. Only Rembrandt could render expressions on the faces, grinning at the yellow grin, freckled with rot. Goofy fruit of Catalan's brain that plucks a sweet 240 G's. Who says money doesn't grow on trees? Taking a cue from the top banana, a wannabe performance artist steps out from the bunch, peels tape and musa, and takes a gorilla-sized bite at fame, the punchline. Thank you. And then I also enjoy writing formal poetry. There's an online journal called The Road Not Taken, which Catherine Jacobs is the editor, who specializes in formal poems. And This is a poem written in quatrains, 4-line stanzas, and the fourth line of each poem is a refrain, a repeated Latin phrase, in poetica non est argentum, which translates to, in poetry, there is no silver, i.e. money. And it was inspired by a reported quotation of Allen Ginsberg. Supposedly, when Ginsberg was complimented towards the end of his life, was once complimented for his lifetime contribution to poetry, he replied, "Yeah, and what did it get me?" So that inspired Old Poets Lament. It's sad to hear old poets grouse and groan when time has slammed the brakes on youth's momentum. Heed well the ancient maxim carved in stone, in poetica non est argentum. Be careful what you wish for, what you choose. Those idle songs of youth, you may repent them. Keep this in mind before you court the muse. In poetica non est argentum. While garish prints and paintings, dubbed fine art, routinely sell for Croesus's wealth and then some, a poet's pay is tendered in the heart. In poetica non est argentum. Those witty tropes and measures will not ease the mounting aches of age, much less prevent them. Accept the bitter truth of this reprise. In poetica non est argentum. The laurel wreath bestowed for honored poems that percolate with sonorous invention can light but little fire to warm old bones. In poetica non est argentum. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice balance on that. The cadence and everything. It just seemed to really work. So good job.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, obviously.
I'm sure that wasn't your I'm sure that wasn't your first draft. That's
no,
that doesn't
not at
happen
all.
by accident. Very nicely
Not
done.
at all. It's gone through many drafts. But,
Mary Gunn, please.
Thanks, Glenn, and hello to everybody else there. I've just got one haiku for you today. April morning, waxy pink petals ready to open. I'll read that again. April morning, waxy pink petals ready to open. That was originally published as a May haiku, but I've noticed over the years that shrub flowers in different months, so I've changed it for this occasion to April.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and I really appreciate how often that you're able to come to our readings. We just always love to hear from you. And if you have anything new going on, any new books coming out or new publications, please let us know.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to Elizabeth, please. No, I'm sorry, Jessica.
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry, I muted you by accident. Please unmute yourself.
Hello. I thought I would read a couple haiku. Oops. I'm find them. So this winter lace, the spider's web catches frost. Winter lace, the spider's web catches frost. So that's from Under the Basho, published, that's from 4 years ago. New moon, a slice of light disappears. New moon, a slice of light disappears. That's all I have for you today.
Very nice, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to Eleanor, and I believe that that's our last poet today. If I missed anybody, please send me a private note right now and let me know. I think I got everybody. Oh, Eleanor Cantor, you look great today. I'm really happy you're here.
Thank you. Yes, so can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. So recently I won 2 small poetry competitions here in the UK. So I thought I'd share the winning poems with you. And the first one was for a poetry competition on the topic of whiskey. And I won a bottle of whiskey signed by Sir Rhodes Stewart. So that that I haven't finished yet. And this one is called Advice. Standing at the duty-free shop with a dad who didn't care, on our final holiday together, I asked him to recommend a bottle of whiskey. For who? A friend. If it's a good friend, then this one's best. He regally points to a smoky 12-year-old single malt that's way above the budget of an English major, and does not offer to add it to his cart, nor do I ask. I bring the fancy bottle in a cab, tracing the embossment to avoid the driver, and try not to make a big deal out of it, but place it nonchalant by the CD rack of a man who didn't care about me. And he drinks half of it that night, the other half with someone else a weekend later. And the smoke washes off in the laundry. The taste of malted disappointment lingers, fades. And 12 years on, I'm wonderfully matured and single. Thank you. And for the second one, I'll just dump it in the chat. The second one was had a prompt. It was for it was a contest for by a mental health charity, and the prompt was by a painting by an artist. Let's see if I can share it with you. Oops. There it is. So I'll just put it in the chat. If anybody wants to have a look at it. Don't know if you can see it. Yeah. So that was the painting by a young artist who died of suicide in 2015. His name was Finian Clark, and I don't have much experience with visual prompts, so at first I was a bit at a loss what to do with it, but then I kind of try to put myself in the position of the child in the picture, and this is what I came up with. So and the painting is called Descent, by the way. Angel of Suburbia, 1983, After Descent, painting by Finian Clark. You might not think of swagger when you think of angels, but of grace and holy stuff, unearthly, eerie things. But that angel who came to my terrace that night, as big and as golden as Shwedagon Temple, and made my parents shut up, and blew up the school, and took me to see the stars, and made the stars ask for my autograph. And when I showed him my scars, said, "What scars?" and shrugged for me the smooth skin of a teenage seal. And before he left, placed his giant palms on my shoulders, 2 big yellow California suns, and said that what was definitely will not ever shall be. That angel, he had swagger, and I've been flying on it, soaring ever since.
Well, I love the image of healing that you have there, and how quickly the reader goes right to emotional healing and life lessons and everything. You did that so well. That was a real pleasure to listen to. Thank you so much. And that's why the chat's blowing up. People are like, "Oh my gosh, it's great." And it was. Okay, Peter Uremko is the last reader. Peter.
Thanks, Glenn. It's Peter Uremko. I live in New Haven, Connecticut, just about across the street from Yale University. I've lost my connection twice during this meeting, so if I disappear, it's not stage fright. And I wrote 2 about rain. The first one is called Birds in Rain. Birds don't know shit about sheltering from a downpour. I've learned this watching them in my backyard on a rainy Saturday morning in spring when rain clouds relieve themselves to the unforgiving chagrin of fastidious earthworms. Our feathered friends dart from one dripping branch to the next, then another and another and yet another, because in some scrim, dim, collective recollection of their kind, they recall once escaping wetness that way. When they alight by fortuitous chance on a branch umbrellaed by an overhead leaf or two, they fluff their sodden wings and hold themselves clever for finding the dry, which is why bird brain remains to this day an entry in Webster's. And the second one is a haiku. Spring trying to bloom, a tugging pup held in check. Rain be gone with you. I'll read it again. Spring trying to bloom, a tugging pup held in check. Rain be gone with you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. At the end of every reading each month, I tend to drop a prompt for the next month, which is you can completely ignore it. Feel free to unmute yourselves, everybody, if you want to talk for a minute before we leave. And so flowers, we're going to do flowers for May. And it's kind of nice because if a few people do it, or half the people throw a flower in one of their poems, and then when people come back, they really pick up on that when they read the whole event, or when they watch the whole event, there's this sort of cohesive element that sort of permeates through it. So I encourage you to do that, but it's not necessary. And certainly, if you don't want to do that, don't make it. Don't let it prevent you from coming, because I absolutely want everybody to come. Regardless. So great work, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to end the recording now, and then stick around and we'll just talk for a minute.